Hey everyone and welcome back. And what else can we really talk about in the international break other than transfers? Because there's not really much we can crawl from when it comes to the Milan team. We can look at potential players who might be coming in. And this is rolling off my video last week where I sort of have seemed to have cursed Romain Fabra to coming to the club because now it's looking like he might not. So I'm hoping this video doesn't sort of curse the players we might be linked with in the department I'll be looking at today, which is the centre midfielders for the potential departure of Frank Kessie. So what centre midfielders might be coming into this side, whether it be in January or June 2022. I will also be looking at potential Primavera players because I think we all know as fans that Primavera is not exciting. It's not living up to the expectations of the senior side right now. It is underperforming and it does need an injection of talent, an injection of ideas. So there are certain players that Maldini is looking at who have locked in certain signings for to hopefully bolster the Primavera, because we do need that to get that firing all cylinders. It's great obviously we all know promoting players from the youth ranks is great for multiple reasons. It's great for morale, it's great for, even if the one day you have to sell on that player, it's pure profit. It's just great to see anyone that comes from the youth ranks succeed in the senior side or even in senior sides of other clubs. It's just knowing that we put the work in for that player to succeed in their career. It just makes it much more worthwhile. So we'll be looking over some Primavera players we are being linked with, if not signing. So we'll start off with the Primavera. Look, as fans, we know through our history of supporting Milan, there have been so many great players come out from the Primavera. Obviously, Maldini, that man up there in the shirt, he's obviously, ironically, negotiating players to come into this side and hopefully bolster this department. He knows the importance of the Primavera. We've spoken about it before in videos talking about players like Tommaso Pobega, how a lot of people do want to keep him because he's a Primavera player. Obviously, I'm open to the fact that if we do sell him, then it's pure profit. It's it just looks good on the books. But the fact of the matter is you have that option. Obviously, I want us to keep as many youth team players as we can, but we can't hoard them all. But nonetheless, the youth team is not really doing that well right now, and we do need to increase its capabilities. We do need to increase the just the overall quality of the youth team in the Primavera. So there are certain players we're being linked with, and the first one we are going to look at is Mohamed Ali Cho. I'm going to bring him up first because he's been scouted quite a bit. He's touted from a lot of top clubs around Europe. He's 17 years old. He's playing in France for Angers, or I'm not going to call it Angers. I believe it's called Angers. Correct me if there are any French football fans out there. He seems to be doing quite well. He's a forward. He has quite a high price tag considering he's only 17 years old, which is 10 million euros at the moment, which from the reports we're reading. He does seem to be a top talented player, plays in the forward position. He's someone that, we've signed players like Roback in the past as well. Hopefully he goes along those lines. Players who just have that standout quality, who's just going to stand out in not just the youth team perspective, quickly enter the senior setup and obviously give their injection of quality in that department. The second player to take note of is Hugo Cuenca, and if you've been looking at the news recently, that deal has pretty much been locked in for January. The deal is coming around 50,000 euros plus 10% future resale fee. He's coming from the Paraguayan league. He's a Paraguayan player. And he's a midfielder. He's someone that obviously, once again, is hopefully going to add another layer of quality to this side. So if you want to, and there's not much we can really run off when it comes to getting the youth team players other than going on YouTube and finding some sort of compilation of their skills and trying to picture how they might fit in. But for 16 years old, to pay 50,000 euros for this player means that he must be talented, and hopefully the scouting department has got this one right. The next player's got quite an interesting name. He is Bob Murphy Omoregbi. I'm hoping I pronounced that one right, but he's 18 years old. He's coming from Borgosesia in Italy. That's a Serie D side. And apparently he's rumoured to be close to signing, so it's very similar to the Cuenca deal. He's a winger, this player, in this particular time. He's been linked to have a 3-year deal agreed with us in the club. So yeah, it's coming for a similar fee. It's 100,000 euros, and hopefully he's going to be coming in January, so he can obviously immediately come into this youth team and add his qualities to it. Yeah, so at the age of 18 years old, once again, these are another players that we don't quite know a lot of, but I'm just happy that we are addressing the lack of quality we have in the Primavera and we're seeking other options, especially in the forward department, because I love us obviously bringing through like midfielders and defenders, but obviously bringing in attackers are the first thing that come to mind. And I do think like we struggle to score when it comes to the Primavera. Maybe there's a lack of synergy there, a lack of individual quality. So hopefully these players coming in can add that. And the last player we're going to be looking at is Alberto Molero. He's 18 years old. He's coming from Las Palmas. He's a centre attacking midfielder slash winger. And yeah, he's another one, a similar position. We're looking at wingers and midfielders and attackers to hopefully come into this side. And yeah, once again, there's not much we can run off. So I'm hoping with these 4 players I've named, you might go onto YouTube, you stay on YouTube in this case, and look them up and maybe do your own little sort of scouting and let me know in the comment section if you think they are a good player and it's someone that we should take on when it comes to Primavera, someone you might have high hopes for in the next, 4 to 5 years. And I'm just really happy that Maldini is addressing the lack of quality we have in this side, in the youth side, and really hoping that these moves he's going to make every half a window is going to hopefully inject some quality into this side. Okay, now I can actually talk about players I know something about, and apologies to these Primavera players that we might be linked with, but we just don't have enough to really work off them to know of them. But we're going to be looking at midfielders now. Mentioned quite a few times before the scenario of Kessie leaving. That seems to be the reality now, and it seems to be happening probably in June. I really can't see us shifting him in January. I know people are saying, you know what, if he doesn't sign the extension by January, sell. I just don't think it's not that easy. I don't think we're going to get a bid that is deemed good enough. Also, I know people are saying, why should he get a starting role if he's not going to sign an extension? He's going to leave in half a year's time. I get that, but at the same time, this team is succeeding in the domestic front. We are joint top of the league, and Kessie being here helps that. Whether you like that or not. And people are saying, just rot him on the bench and play Tonali and Benacer for the rest of the games. I'm going to say, and you might not like when I hear it when I say it, is that I don't think that's going to win us the league. I think we're going to need that rotation, those options in place, and us creating a sort of bad egg in the squad isn't going to help that. Nonetheless, if he is going to be leaving most likely in the summer, we're going to have to look at certain options to take his place in this squad. And a few of these options we mentioned before, a few of these players. Obviously, we have certain players out on loan, Yacine Adli and Tommaso Pobega, who can easily come back into this team and take his spot. But I'm looking at a player of a higher profile, and hopefully these are one of these 3 players I list now. The first one is Bubuka Kamara, and I've mentioned him in the previous midfield video. He's about to turn 22 years old. He's playing at Marseille. He's soon to be on a free transfer himself in June 2022. So, that could easily just be a sort of a tag in, tag out between him and Kessie, and he takes his spot. He's more of a traditional defensive midfielder. He can play at the centre-back position as well, so that creates a good element of versatility and and just adds another layer to this side when it comes to players playing in different positions. But ideally, we want this player to come in and play the DM position, because that's what Kessie was primarily. Kamara is a great profile. He's very young. He's playing at obviously in an interesting league in France, competitive. Marseille aren't a bad side themselves. He's playing a lot of games. His fitness seems to be up to scratch, and bear that in mind for the player I'm about to mention in a bit as well, because that's the rumour mills coming out that we're linked with another player who's slightly injury prone. And I like Kamara, and from what we're reading, and just for the history of being linked with this player, there seems to kind of be, I feel like there's a locked-in deal for him, especially on a free transfer. I don't think we're going to make a attempt for this player in January, even though people might like to think that might be the reality. I don't think we're going to do that. I think we're going to snatch him on a pre-contract agreement in January and get him as a free transfer in June. The next midfielder is Dennis Zakaria, and he's someone, to be honest, I didn't quite know a lot of until the last couple of weeks. Ollie brought him up himself on the podcast, he brought him up in the group chat, and I started looking into this player, and I noticed him mostly against Italy in the recent World Cup qualifier between Switzerland and Italy. He was fantastic. As a great DM, he progresses the ball forward, he's strong, he's tall, hard to get off the ball. To be honest, there's a lot of similarities from what I see between him and Kessie. He's currently playing for Borussia Mönchengladbach. He's about to turn 25 years old, and very similar to like Kamara, he's about to be on a free transfer in June 2022. So, I think this is certainly a profile we'll be looking at. The difference is between him and Kamara, though, is that this player's got a lot of touts. He's got a lot of teams who are after him. Liverpool, Juventus. There are a lot of clubs, especially top clubs, who are not really Juventus, but Liverpool in this case, who are after his capabilities. Whereas I feel like the Kamara situation, I think because of history, I think we've isolated ourselves in that one. And what we'll see is a very sort of, especially with the French leagues, we can isolate him and take him out of potential negotiations with other clubs, very much like Mike Mignon. keep ourselves with just him. We're his primary objective, and vice versa. So as much as I really like Zakaria, I like his profile. He's always fit, plays a lot of games. He's really excelling in his career. I just don't think we're going to beat other suitors for his services, and I just don't think we're going to sign this player as much as I really want us to. And the last midfielder I'm going to bring up is Renato Sanchez. I really like Renato Sanchez. Obviously, he has a history of fitness issues. People are going to bring up the stats. I put a tweet about this the other day. If we're coming in between those three midfielders I've just listed, Renato Sanchez, Zakaria, and Kamara, I want Sanchez because I think he's one of the best quality. He offers the most from a box-to-box perspective as a midfielder. He's not the most traditional of DMs, so I think he's a profile that would be kind of nothing close to what Kamara and Zakaria will give us. I think he gives us a good balance. From what I see about him, I kind of see someone like Kessie with a little less physicality, but a lot more going forward. And I think we should really be looking to add goals from our centre midfielders and assists. And if we're coming away from, obviously, Kessie, obviously he adds a lot of goals when it comes to penalties. When it comes to open play, he doesn't seem to add a lot of that. But with Renato Sanchez, and especially if you watch him for Portugal, he's fantastic as a great box-to-box player. Good shooting, good finishing. He loves to get in certain positions to obviously test midfielders and test defenders. I really like his profile. 24 years old. The reason why we're rumoured to be very linked, heavily with him. Obviously, there is the Lille background, and obviously getting previous deals in before with Rafael Leao, Mike Mignon. We have a connection there. There's the whole Elliott connection as well. His contract is up in 2023. So when it comes to the summer, he'll only have 1 year left. Once again, similar to the Mike Mignon deal, which will probably allow us to get him on a cheaper deal. I can see a scenario. I really can see a scenario like the Donnarumma one. Donnarumma walks out the deal for free, like Kessie in this scenario here, and we've already locked in a replacement in Renato Sanchez for a relatively moderate fee of 10 to 20 million euros. Something not that I think that we're going to look at that as a bargain, because we're going to look at the player we're going to sign, his age, same age as Mignon as well. And look, people are going to bring it back. The injuries. I get it. I get he's got an injury-prone history. My argument is that you should always go for the best player available. And I've seen us, pick up players in the past who have injury issues. But we're also going to have, bear in mind as well, like I bring back to that video I did a couple of weeks back. This is going to be a position, a centre midfield position, where we have a lot of options. We've already got Tonali. We've already got Benacer. If Kessie goes in the summer, let's say this Renato Sanchez comes in, there might even be a possibility of signing Kamara as well. We've got Bakayoko on another year on his loan deal. We've got Krunic still under contract. We've got Pobega. We've got Yacine Adli. Where do you think, especially those younger players, those last two I mentioned, Yacine Adli and Pobega, where are they going to get time to play? And I think we need to be very careful as fans, where we're sort of going like, of course, like players like Zakaria and Kamara, younger profiles, they're great. You can see what they can add to this team. They're always going to be fit. Okay, them, Benacer, Tonali, they're the free rotation players. But where do the other players fit in? Where does Pobega fit in? And you're going to complain that Pobega doesn't get enough game time minutes, or Yacine Adli doesn't get enough game time minutes, even though he might be able to play as an attacking midfielder. Nonetheless, in the centre midfield position, only two people can play at once, unless we expand it to a midfield three, but that's yet to be seen right now. What we know is that Pioli likes the 4-2-3-1. There's two centre midfielders that you can pick at any given time. Obviously, subs in the rotation. Obviously, we might be playing in the three competitions at once. But really, I can foresee a scenario where someone like Pobega comes back next summer and gets frustrated for the lack of game time that he gets. And bringing it back to Renato Sanchez, what I'm trying to say here is that, yes, he has injury concerns. But in a way, him being injured at least allows Pobega to get chances. And it's that sort of flip of rotations that... Not saying we should go out and sign an injured player, but I don't think we should also be put off by a fantastic player just because he's had injury issues in the past. Especially if we're not looking to spend a lot of money on that player. I mean, I think we'd be fools to not sign Renato Sanchez for a moderate fee and also make up some other shrewd business deals in the market. I really just want us to go out and sign the best player available. And in my opinion, that's Renato Sanchez. So anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap things up today. We're linked with 3 centre midfielders right now. There's probably more will come out in the next couple of weeks with the more this Kessie thing looms on. But at the moment, between those three midfielders I've mentioned, Bubuka Kamara, Zakaria, and Renato Sanchez, who in your opinion is the best centre midfielder? Well, not the best one. Who do you think we should go for? Because I think that's a more topical debate. You know, people might think that Renato is the best one, but his injury prone thing, you know, puts him down the list. But who do you think, in your opinion, is the midfielder we should go for? And until next time, guys, we're going to play Fiorentina on the weekend. We need another win because we need to get back on that winning streak thing. And Forza Milan.